Got a great start here. You know, they're at home. You know, they've got 3 trophies out there, all 3 trophies out there. They've been able to celebrate it, but they don't want it to go a bit dull, do they? You know, after this amazing surrounding what we've got here, and they're saying walk along, and every scarf's up there as well. They'll want to keep that magic going.
Those who are able have their green and white scarves raised above their heads. There's a fantastic tifo to our right as myself and Pat look on from the press box. It reads "We're Magic" with those 3 treble winning trophies above a shamrock hat with the green and white colours. New season, same energy, same expectation. Celtic are here to win it all. They don't want to give Rangers a sniff. And the opposition in front of them today is Ross County. Game plan for Ross County, Pat?
Do you know what? Don't be surprised if they'll go for it. You know, they've got 2 strikers up front. They've got, you know, Jan Danda who's behind them as well. So, you know, they won't be frightened. They'll have a little bit of a go at it, and we'll just see if they're strong enough to, you know, to stand up to this noise.
And it is the visitors who get us underway in the 2023-2024 Scottish Premiership season. And they actually win an early corner. As you come to expect, 5 Live's team of stellar broadcasters will be taking you inside stadiums throughout the UK, bringing you all the drama across the men's and women's professional games. It's the first time also in over 40 years the exceptional journalist Roddy Forsyth won't be BBC Radio 5 Live's main voice of Scottish football. We will hear from him sporadically throughout the season. He is currently dealing with Parkinson's, so we wish you very well, Roddy, as Celtic quickly defend the corner. And it's Maeda racing forward across the halfway line, but it's Ross County who win the ball back very early on, and it's initial touch of the ball for Randall, who sprays the pass out far left-hand side to Murray, approaching the 18-yard box. Yellow boots, ginger hair. They're attacking the Jock-Stein end. Danda sends in the cross. It's flicked in, still not cleared by Celtic. Murray wants to get his shot off. Mislaced pass, finds its opposite side of the edge of the box. Cross is stood up. Maeda tries to clear it, but Celtic can't find a way out. Really positive start from Ross County, Pat. I'm
not shocked by that. You know, just as they lined up the scene there, but they're fearless there. I mean, Malcolm Mackay's got them out. They've got a corner early on. They've really pressed high. The problem we've got is if they leave any gaps at the back, the pace that Celtic break with as well. They're not just a pressing team, they're a great breaking team. They need to be, but well done. You know, Ross County coming here, not just sitting back, having a bit of a go.
Malky Mackay, the visiting manager in front of us, currently on the edge of his technical area, all in his suits. Just see the bald patch on the back of his head. A man who Brendan Rodgers knows well. He says that Ross County are very lucky to have a manager of his quality. And the barely 2 minutes played, his side have seen the majority of the ball. Sent towards the byline. The cutback finds Murray in the 6-yard box. And it's deflected wide. Really encouraging stuff from Ross County.
Could have gone anywhere, that. And the ball gets to the byline now. They did well to work it out there from the left-hand side. Jan Danda, he's good at finding space in those sort of areas. Question is whether he'll be at Ross County for much longer. Most people in Scottish football hope he will be. He's a great player.
Lots of eyes from south of the border on the former Liverpool and Swansea man, his second season. It's been relentless, so it does allow me now for a break to bring you the team news if you haven't already seen it. So Brendan Rodgers, his second stint in charge of Celtic. His first competitive lineup for this new season. Joe Hart in goal, the back four of Ralston, Carter-Vickers, Naroki, Taylor, midfield of O'Reilly, Turnbull, McGregor, and the front trio of Maeda, Kyogo and Abada. And it is the champions on the attack. Deep in the Ross County half, kicking to our right as myself and Pat Nevin look out from the main stand here at Celtic Park. 0-0, 3 minutes played. 5 Live BBC Sounds. Abada gets his first touch of the game on this near touch line. Celtic just looking to stem the flow here, Pat, and just have a bit of keep ball.
Yeah, they need a little bit. It's been breathless right from the start, but it's mostly been from Ross County, and they've done really well. But looking at Celtic now, they've got good possession, and watching what happens when Celtic get good possession, well organised by Malcolm Mackay. Back 5, hard to break through.
Abada down the right. It's sent back into O'Reilly. The captain, Callum McGregor. Carter Vickers in the centre circle. Heavy pass for the debutants. Naroki gets to grips of that. German-born but Polish youth international. And it's going to be a free kick to Celtic.
And Naroki's seen a little bit of this, but this is the real deal now. You know, he's seen Celtic Park completely full. He's heard the noise at the start and he realises what he's part of just now. So big moment for him, and he's got a starting lineup before Starfelt, which will disappoint Starfelt because he played most of last season.
Carter Vickers, 35 yards from goal, centre on. Abada hugging the touchline, surrounded by 3 blue shirts, finds O'Reilly. Ralston, high line from the full-back. All but one of Ross County's outfield players are behind the ball, and as I say that, as they drop even deeper, Abada, neat turn, but that was well read by the Ross County defender. Ralston goes down, wants a free kick. Referee's assistant had to think about it before awarding the spot kick. Just a few yards in from the touchline, around 10 yards from the corner flag, right as we look on to the Ross County goal.
That's more like the Celtic we watched from last season, you know, getting good possession there, but always want to do something positive with it, not just playing aimless balls around the midfield. They want to attack as much as possible, and that usually means both full-backs, in this occasion Taylor and Ralston, getting forward all the time.
O'Reilly stood over the free kick. Low Jack Grealish-esque socks, pink boots, left-footed, sent into the 6-yard box. It's well defended by the captain, Baldwin. Ross County are able to get it 30 yards clear from the goal. Danda with a neat trap over his shoulder, and it's hooked clear eventually. Well held up by Simon Murray for Ross County, waiting for support though. Gets it from Danda. Left as they head towards the Celtic goal. Very accomplished footballers here. Ross County outfit using this huge pitch. It's now over the right hand side, sent into the back post. Murray was challenging for it. Defender goes down after making the clearing header, and the referee Nick Walsh does decide he will play for a free kick.
It's useful for Ross County to do that as often as possible. I mean, they've got Jordan White and Simon Murray in there. They're not small lads, and they're physical as well as being tall.
And Sims wins the ball back for Ross County. Very experienced player. Played in the English Championship, the MLS and the Premier League. And he's currently in a Ross County side who, Pat rightfully pointed out, under the tutelage of Malky Mackay, are here to play football. They're attacking the Celtic box, left-hand side of the penalty area. Danda, forced infield, sends across to the back post. It's flicked clear by Naroki, the forehead of the pole. Only finds it as far clear as Randall. Danda trying to pull the strings, but Celtic win back possession. Malky Mackay will be very happy with the starter's side of Maypal. 0-0, 7 minutes played.
Yes, he will be. They haven't been fearful. They're going to be put under pressure at some point. There's no doubt about that. But he's got them so well organised. They are 2 different systems. The system they play when they're attacking is one thing, but when they're defending and they've lost the ball, so many players behind the ball. They've got 4 or 5 sometimes at the back, and no space, or very little space for Celtic to get through just now, but Celtic are used to that.
McGregor. Ralston. Stand up if you're the champions. That's the noise currently coming out of Celtic Park. You've still got the thick smell of green flare smoke following the Flag Day celebrations. But Ross County are more than holding their own, keeping the champions at bay. The ball is in the home side's half with Carter Vickers. Joe Hart has his hand in the air, wants an early touch.
Tom, one of the things that you watch this just now, you can feel the excitement around here. The number of people in the stadium and the buzz about the place. And with all respect, it's Ross County they're playing, and it does show you that even though they've won it so often, these Celtic fans just love this, don't they?
They do.
Just don't lose the excitement of being champions.
Well, we did hear from the Ross County travelling support away to our far right when the sides came out onto, they had the field to themselves before they paraded the guard of honour, but the ball over the top finds Maeda. The Japanese is closed down by Nightingale. Did that come off a Ross County leg? No, it doesn't. It goes behind for a visitors' goal kick.
Yeah, Maeda's been involved in the game. He's breaking from midfield's good. He's got great pace, and the energy levels are incredible. Doesn't always last the 90 minutes because he puts everything in, but you find yourself 12, 13 minutes into this game, have you mentioned Kyogo? Yeah,
we haven't.
Exactly, and it's extraordinary. You know, obviously he's been the main man in Scottish football last season. He's been incredible for Celtic, but he just keeps on making the runs, and if he doesn't get the ball, he just keeps on doing it. He only needs to get one.
And it is Ross County causing further problems at the other end of the field. Jordan White, strike partner alongside Simon Murray, two experienced campaigners, keeping that Celtic back line busy. Naroki close to the corner flag in the left back position, pumps it downfield, but that's going to be an easy touch for Nightingale on loan from AFC Wimbledon. His first taste of the Scottish Premiership, and that's about to say a lovely ball out wide left to Dander, who acknowledges the attempt, but it sails over his long black locks into the stand for a throw. 0-0.
Very noticeable that Ross County have done the homework a little bit, and they understand that Anthony Ralston, who's the right fullback for Celtic, he wants to get forward all the time. So Jan Dander is spending his whole time sneaking into that area, trying to get balls over the top in there, and he's gone there to the byline once already, and he's getting really good possession in the final third.
Kyogo does get involved. His unintentional layoff finds the feet of Abada. Right hand side of the penalty area, goes past his man, tries to stand up the cross. It's a good recovery.
Is he giving a goal kick?
Yeah, there was. It definitely came off the defender there, but it was appeals for what was a corner, maybe a penalty, but the referee decides George Harmon, it didn't touch him for some reason, and it goes behind for a Ross County goal kick.
Slightly confused me, but the referee was in a brilliant position. No great complaints from most of the Celtic players there, so maybe they'll come back off the Celtic player again when it was played in the first place. But, you know, again, it's been a really lively game. It's very open. I mean, it's flown by right at the start here, isn't it?
It is still Celtic 0, Ross County 0. Hook ball from Dander over the far side, and it looks as though it's White trying to get in there behind Carter Vickers, and the second corner of the game once again goes to Ross County.
Yeah, I mean, the pace that they get forward, you know, mentioned before, though, they've got those two big strikers up there that are willing runners themselves. And Celtic, they don't like dropping deep. I mean, they want to be control of the game, control of possession. They've not been able to do that so far.
So over the far left-hand side, it is Dander, right-footed, out-swinging corner for the visitors. 11 minutes played, still goalless. 5 Live BBC sounds. Celtic defend the corner well, and they can break now with Kyogo. He's got Abada in front of him, but the Japanese can't find his teammate, and transition is excellent once again from Ross County. Right-hand side of the penalty, left-hand side of the penalty area, shotting opportunity! And it deflects behind for another corner. It was a great little move once again from Simon Murray, cutting field on his right foot. Only a block denies Joe Hart making his first save of the game.
I was going to say Ross County are shading it. I think it's a bit more than shading it, isn't it? They're the better team, and certainly in the game so far, that's the best chance of the game. They do look so dangerous from this left-hand side when they break out.
In particular, Simon Murray. Dander with another corner. In swinger with his right foot, headed clear. Maeda working hard for Celtic, goes down, wants a free kick, play continues. It's with Ross County, and James Brown tries to cut back to Jordan White. Celtic can't keep it out, and to prevent the fourth corner of the game, check this out, listeners. 12 minutes played, Celtic 0, Ross County 0, and by far the better side, the side who stayed up by the skin of their teeth last season, the visitors, Ross County, Pat Neville.
Yeah, the only disappointment I would say so far for Ross County is they've had the four corners, they've been poor. They've not beat the first man each time, so Jan Dander needs to do better with this one.
Fifth time of asking, more towards the penalty spot, aiming for that tall centre half. Jack Baldwin can't get anywhere near it. It goes over the opposite side for a throw-in in the Celtic right back position, and a few mumbles of discontent because the home side are second best at the moment, Pat Neville.
They are, and I mean, that's not the fact that Celtic have been asleep. That's the fact that they've been pushed in every single area of the pitch so far. I mean, Ross County they're well into the season. You know, they've had 4 games so far in the League Cup.
Carter Vickers, just watch that one go over his shoulder, and Joe Hart's brought down in his own box. Surely that's a penalty, is it not?
I don't think he touched him.
Carter Vickers, miscommunication. Joe Hart came out, and it was Murray who nipped in behind. Looked to have tipped the ball away from Joe Hart. He went down. You're saying no penalty,
well,
Nevin?
No, he's not going to give it, but VAR will have a look at that here in Scottish football. The referee is had his little look and just said play on, and I think he got it right.
Wow.
But that looks terrible at back. Celtic are rattled.
A calamitous 60 seconds, which has seen Naroki play the ball across his own 6-yard box to Carter Vickers. Was he switched on or off? I'm not sure. Either way, it's a 6th corner to Ross County.
Well, the two centre-backs have to be playing to and understanding each other. I mean, Joe Hart didn't cover himself in glory either when he came for that ball. It wasn't a penalty, but it could easily have been so.
Danda with the corner, right-footed in-swinger. Hart opts to punch rather than catch. Gets plenty of distance on it, though. And he's helped out by Maeda, but he can't keep hold of the ball. And once again, with the turnover, it's Ross County. 15 minutes played, 0-0.
You just look at Joe Hart here. He's going to try and calm it down a little bit. He's got the ball in his hands, playing it out to his centre backs and saying, right, okay, can we get a little bit of possession here? Because, as you say, the turnovers, they've been absolutely superb from Ross County, but they've not been, sitting back on it, putting one or two players up front. What they're doing is they're trying to break right, left, get it to the strikers, get it to Danda. Everything they've touched so far has just about gone right, except for the one thing they really need, Ross County, which is an early goal.
Well, I'm sure if you go in all fan bases, some will be split on opinion on certain players, and Joe Hart in his 3rd season here at Celtic is one at 36 years of age that I've seen pointed out quite a few occasions that maybe Celtic need to upgrade their number one. Of course, the window's still open as Naroki ventures forward, finds Kyogo in the box, plays it back to Maeda. He tries to get the shot off, last-ditch tackle, and there's a penalty appeal for Celtic, and the referee does decide that Greg Taylor had his shin clipped by the defender wide left of the 18-yard box. Celtic yet to have a shot on target, but in the 16th minute they have a penalty.
Well, he lunged towards the ball there. He claims he never got the player. Sadly, we haven't got monitors here, and showing it above here, a little bit of a look at it. They really surprised the Ross County players. They felt there was very little contact. They're going to check it. Obviously they're going to check it. They always do. And if there was any contact at all, however minimal it is, the referee will give a penalty kick, and so will the VAR.
Well, it's David Turnbull who's got the ball on the side of his hip, waiting for the VAR check to be complete. That's what reads high up on the monitors here.
He seems confident.
At Parkhead, yeah. Well, the referee has given him no indication that this penalty is not going to stand, so it is going to be David Turnbull up against Ross Laidlaw. Celtic scored 6 of their 8 penalties in the Scottish Premiership last season. Turnbull in front of the Lisbon Lions stands, shirt bristling in the wind, right-footed, sends the keeper the wrong way. We have the first goal of the Scottish Premiership season. It goes by the way of the champions. Turnbull from the spot against the run of play makes it Celtic 1, Ross County 0.
Well, a number of things about that. First of all, great penalty kick right into the corner, sends the goalkeeper the wrong way. But it's Turnbull that's taken it. Now, Turnbull usually last season would have been one of the substitutes. Brendan Rodgers has said, no, you're going to be my starter today. We've just seen another decent replay of there, and there was minimal contact, so the referee was never going to turn that around. But for Turnbull, it's a big moment. He scored the first goal of the season. He's an attack-minded midfielder. He's obviously got great belief from Brendan Rodgers to start here. But you do feel a little bit sorry for Ross County at this point in time. They've started really well, and they find themselves, like most other teams at Celtic Park, after about 17 minutes, already behind.
Celtic 1, Ross County 0. David Turnbull, who scored 4 league goals last season, inside 20 minutes gets his first of the new campaign, and the first for Brendan Rodgers in his return. Maeda, left-hand side of the penalty area, tries to whip in the delivery. Nightingale blocked that with his knee. Faint appeals for another penalty, but play continues. Nightingale once again hooks it clear, but what a difference a goal makes. Moments ago, Pat, we were talking about Ross County first, so those second balls, Celtic look more themselves just from simply taking the lead.
Well, completely relaxed now. They can play at their own pace. They will try and control the ball. Watch McGregor now. He'll try and get on the ball as much as he can in midfield and dictate the pace of the play. But that pace will still be high for Celtic. It's the classic one. They'll score an early goal and they try and press on regardless. That's what they always did under Ange Postecoglou, and I suspect they're not going to try to be nothing different under Brendan Rodgers. But so far, You know, Ross County shouldn't be negative about it. They've had a decent start, but they don't look as if they're going to break that line just because of luck as much as anything else so far.
That's the voice of former Scotland international Pat Nevin alongside me, Tom Gale. 5 Live BBC Sounds, first day of the Scottish Premiership, and from 3 o'clock Mark Chapman and our team of reporters will take you around the grounds as the English Football League gets underway.
Just looking at Malcolm Mackay down there, Tom. He's shouting to his players, don't care, keep on going for it, keep being positive. Make sure that when you get forward, it's not only 2 strikers and Jan Danda behind them, it's everybody else. Push up as much as you possibly can. He's not a man that looks as if he's in any way intimidated by this scene that's around him.
He's just taking a slug of water. If you are just joining us late, Celtic against the run of play. Treble winners last season, met with a firm task in front of them here. Ross County had a really positive start, but how can they respond to going behind? They've never won here, Ross County, in the league, and they've never scored more than 2 goals here in the league as well. That's the size of the task in front of them. As they've got a throw though, just over the far left-hand side, 10 yards or so, and from the corner flag. And we've talked about set pieces. They've had multiple corners, Pat, and you do sense that maybe that is their route back into this game. Yeah,
but it's got to be about the delivery. The delivery hasn't been anywhere near good enough now, and it's been, well, mopped up very simply, usually at the front post by Celtic. But at this point in time, considering a long throw, have they got that in them?
There's Baldwin, their captain. He does reach the 6-yard box. It bobbles, it lets it bounce. Appeals again from Ross County for a penalty. Celtic don't clear their lines. Danda has it, left-hand side of the penalty area. Left foot, he sends the cross in. O'Reilly it was with a diving header clear. Maeda can't retain possession for Celtic. It's a Ross County throw in the Celtic half.
There was mayhem in that back line from that long throw in. They had no idea where the ball was, that Celtic back line. And that's, you know, if you get the right long throw in the right position and get the first flick on there, it is very, very difficult to defend.
Ross County do try and go over the top, but that's certainly not Simon Murray's game. Pace in behind, it rolls comfortably through to Joe Hart, and Celtic certainly moving with a bit more speed as Danda goes in. Got some of the ball but plenty of the man as he just ventured past the halfway line, and his referee Nick Walsh about to award the first booking of the Scottish Premiership season. No, just a firm talking to for Danda.
Do you know, I have a slight suspicion had it been another player, he would have got a yellow card. You know, there are some players you think, well, you made that sort of tackle, but that's not your style, mate. You made a mistake there. I don't think it was ultra vicious. He's went for the ball, slightly mistimed it, and I think the referee's quite sensible to play it on from there.
A slap of hands with Tony Ralston as well. All is good between those on opposite sides, but the scoreline, the most important thing: Celtic 1, Ross County 0. We've played 21.5 minutes here. It was a really eventful start for the visitors. If you don't know your Scottish football, they were in the Scottish Premiership relegation playoff last season after finishing 11th in the table, and our colleagues at BBC Radio Scotland described it as one of the greatest comebacks ever, coming from 2-0 down in the first leg against Partick Thistle, losing 1-0 at half-time in the second leg before a 90th minute equaliser sent it to spot kicks. And from what we've seen, certainly so far, Pat, this season, once again under Malky Mackay, lots of room for optimism.
And that's what Malky will want to do. I mean, he'll want to build it every single season, get a little bit more belief every single season. He will have been disappointed that they just survived by the skin of their teeth. But I watched that game that you're talking about there, and it is no exaggeration. It's one of the most exciting, extraordinary things, because, I mean, the Jags, Partick Thistle, they thought they were there. They absolutely thought they were there.
Ball over the top is hooked clear by Jack Baldwin over the halfway line. Murray making a nuisance of himself for Carter Vickers, and Carter Vickers is one of those, he's not fully fit yet. We sort of saw him pre-season, he only made that appearance against Atleti midweek in James Forrester's testimonial, and maybe Murray knows that, and he's really at the American early on.
Do you know, the one thing you say about Carter Vickers, he's a big lad, if you know what I mean. You know, there's a lot of muscle there, and you question, you know, are you going to be quick enough if you're not at full pace? And he's playing against a player who's not lightning quick just now. You wonder, is it a point at Ross County or any other teams at the moment, can they get just a speedy player up against him? Somebody who's not even necessarily a direct out-and-out normal striker, but somebody who will run him. Just find out if he's got that pace at the moment at this part of the season.
Almost 24 minutes played. Still, David Turnbull's penalty separating us, and I'm pretty sure, Pat, that's Ross Laidlaw's not even had a save to make yet. The only thing he's had to do of note is pick the ball out the back of his net, which is a much credit to Ross County.
Well, you spent most of your time, you watched Celtic last season, certainly, and watched them just basically camping the opposition's half. It ain't happened here. It's definitely not happened here, and as we speak about it just now, still they're getting pushed high up the field. There was a high press again from Ross County. It's a brave thing to do, and it's a hard thing to do, and if they keep on doing it at this level and then tire, Celtic will pick them off, so they need to get something back possibly before half-time, Ross County.
Narocki striding forward, the new Celtic centre-half. Carter Vickers wants someone to come closer to him, and another misplaced pass by Celtic. This time it doesn't lead to an immediate threat on goal, and they work the triangles well over that far side, attacking the Ross County goal. Left-hand side, played into Maeda. The Japanese can't make it stick, but McGregor does well to win it back. Turnbull, goal scorer, sees an early sight of goal 25 yards out, grass cutter, which Laidlaw smothers.
Well, again, a shot on target, but this time not from a penalty spot. It's from Turnbull. He has looked really lively in that position just now. And it's bigger than just Celtic. You're talking about Scotland hoping to get to the championships next summer. And Turnbull, he won't get there unless he's playing first team football every week for Celtic, and he's good enough to be in this position.
And here comes Celtic in behind against again. Abada plays it across to Kyogo! The Japanese, his first notable contribution of the game is a side-footed finish from 7 yards out. The Scottish Premiership's top scorer last season have his first of the new campaign. Devastating counter, Celtic 2, Ross County 0.
Well, just talking about Turnbull there, he won the header in that kind of advanced midfield role, flicked it onto Abada, who played the perfect ball in, and as it went across to Kyogo there, and he's about 7 or 8 yards out, you didn't have to look. He doesn't miss those. He's incredible in those situations. And I was saying before, explaining what Kyogo's like, you might not talk about him, he might not touch the ball, but like the classic old school striker, he only needs that one touch, and it's a perfect touch into the corner. Very few chances missed there. Keeper got a leg to it, but it wasn't enough to stop it, and it's beginning to feel like business as usual.
3 attempts on the Ross County goal, and it is now 2-0 to the champions. Turnbull a penalty, and moments ago a 51st goal in Celtic colours for Kyogo. Ross County keeping their heads up, still continuing to ask questions. Murray bearing down on the 18-yard box, heavy touch though, sees him dispossessed, and it's about Celtic managing this situation now, Pat.
It is. I mean Celtic know how to do that. They've got a lot of players that have been through this before, and again I'm saying they will try and control the game. Just get back to Kyogo for a second. Just remembering back to the first time I watched him play in a game here. We were about 20 minutes in, I was sitting beside Roddy Forsyth, and I hesitated and then said, this kind of reminds me of Henrik Larsson. I don't like to do that to any player, because it's a wee bit of pressure, but honestly his movement's ridiculously good for a striker. And Roddy gave me a wee kind of raising him the eyebrows, saying that's a bit of a call. But to be fair, his numbers are off the scale, aren't they? And as you say, did very, very little in the game there, except keep on making the runs, because he only needs one to fall to his feet. It did, and he scores.
There's a man that Brendan Rodgers and Celtic want to keep hold of. New contract over the summer, tying him down till 2027. Not to say there will be suitors, but you would assume they'd have to pay big if they want to tear the Japanese away from his focal points of the Celtic attack.
I know a few people are putting 2 and 2 together and getting 8 by Ange Postecoglou goes down to Spurs. Spurs may lose Harry Kane.
Yeah,
they need a striker who scores goals naturally. I'm not sure that's actually going to happen, but it would have crossed Ange Postecoglou's mind, I'll say that much.
Well, if any listeners were with me earlier on, part of the Patrick Keelty show, that breaking news, Paddy revealed that he did feel that Harry Kane was off to Bayern, so we'll watch that story. And there was no BBC Sport alert, we have to be said on that, but he felt that Kane to Bayern was a pretty much done deal.
It's a very difficult one, isn't it? If you're trying to get, I think it's 100 million euros we're talking at the moment for a player that's going to be free next season. And plus the Postecoglou to rebuild the team at some point, may as well do it with the money. That's one way of looking at it.
Well, no doubt Ange Postecoglou will have more than half an eye on this. Of course, now the new Tottenham manager, but he's seen his former side, which he departed in the summer, in a commanding position. The scoreline does not tell you the whole picture. Celtic 2, Ross County 0. We're approaching half an hour played. We have seen the first booking of the Scottish Premiership season. It does go to the Ross County captain, Jack Baldwin, and VAR actually having another look at this for a possible red card. The foul was on Kyogo.
That's slightly surprising. It didn't seem that radical to me.
The lip of the centre circle in the Celtic half. The Japanese is on his feet but moving gingerly.
He's got a lovely attitude, Kyogo. He always wants to go on with it. He does take a lot of hits, but his attitude is, yep, it happens. I'll get up, I'll get on with it. See if you can stop me next time.
So there is a new look to the VAR system this season in the Scottish Premiership. They've got their dedicated officials who will be monitoring things from Clydesdale House today. The man in question is Greg Aitken, and it's him who's currently re-watching the footage. And the blow of the referee's whistle would assume that it will stand as just a yellow card for Jack Baldwin.
I think that was maybe slightly unnecessary.
Maybe they're just testing the software. They just want to get as much use of it early on.
Hey, every league that takes on VAR and gets used to it, it takes a wee while. And when I say a wee while, a good wee while, as we would say in Scotland.
30 minutes played. Celtic 2, Ross County 0. 5 Live BBC Sounds. Opening day of the Scottish Premiership, opening day of the EFL from 3 p.m, so don't go anywhere. If you haven't heard already, England's netballers are through to their first ever World Cup final. Plenty more on that throughout the day as Ross County look to go over the top, and Carter Vickers and Joe Hart once again.
That's the ball I was asking them to play before.
Not looking convincing, are they, when those two, one, the goalkeeper or the centre-half has to make a decision with the ball over the top. Ross County feel there's a way in there.
Yeah, just, that Carter Vickers, as you rightly said, isn't 100% yet. I'll go and ask the question then. The problem for them is there's not been a gap behind the centre-backs, Celtic centre-backs yet, because they have been so deep, because they've been pushed. However, if Celtic do get a little bit of possession, which they will get more and more as the game goes on, there will be gaps behind to play the ball long and find out if those two centre-backs have got the pace to deal.
Both managers suited and booted. Neither has sat down yet. It's been a captivating opening half hour to the Scottish Premiership season. The ball's at the feet of the champions goalkeeper Joe Hart, who rolls it across to Naroki. Pings out wide to Taylor, who won the 17th minute penalty for Celtic.
Can I say one thing quickly about Brendan Rodgers?
Go
when
for it,
they had the trophies, etc., and the flag beforehand, he stood a wee bit distance away from it. He didn't want to soak up any of that glory. There's another man who won those, and although he's happy for it because he's Celtic at heart, he didn't try and, get into the party. He didn't try to gate crash that party, which I thought was a wee bit classy.
And there was no big announcement of Brendan Rodgers being back here prior to kick-off as well, the way he would like it. All the attention on his players, who have a 2-goal advantage over Ross County. Ralston, midway into the Ross County half on the right-hand side, takes the throw. It's back to the halfway line to Naroki. Rolls it square to Carter Vickers. Long beards, short-shaved haircut. And now it is Taylor, left-hand side of the penalty area, to the byline, stands up the cross. Kyogo's going to be the closest for Celtic, but it's well defended by the 6-foot-plus Nightingale, who heads behind for a corner.
And look what Celtic do. They get the corner kick, and the first thing they do, they sprint over. That's been drummed into them initially, obviously, by Postecoglou. If you can take anything quick, take it. Get the opposition, when they're not prepared yet. Now, I have to say that Ross County were ready for it, so they're taking a little bit more time to try and put it in the box.
And there's going to be a break in play as the referee, Nick Walsh, has just decided he wants to have a word with Nightingale, who headed behind for the corner, and the debutant Narocki, both players actually getting their first experience of a competitive Scottish Premiership match. Referees all happy, so it is O'Reilly over the far side in front of the Lisbon Lions stand. Sends in the left-footed corner, out-swinging Carter Vickers, back-heeled it back towards goal. Ross County survive, but Celtic have the ball. A good 45 yards from goal. Taylor out wide, ball at his feet, cuts in on his right foot, looking for movement, finds O'Reilly, rolls his man lovely, but Nightingale, who's been very busy in that back line, AFC Wimbledon loanee, he's had plenty to do, and he's impressed certainly early on, Pat.
Yeah, very much so. Just when that ball was played in there, O'Reilly takes it and he does that drag back, and it's the one, if you do that in the box, you're just waiting for someone to take you out. And another one that looked quite tight there. It wasn't a penalty kick, but it's clever play by O'Reilly. It's one of the moves that Celtic have used a great deal. Play it into the box at pace and let the player roll the defender. You know, Tati's done it a few times when he was playing in the team, as Almeida does it, and certainly Kyogo's as good as anyone else. But on that occasion, no purchase and no joy.
10 minutes plus added time remaining here in the first half. Celtic lead thanks to a penalty from Turnbull in the 17th minute, and Kyogo with a neat right-footed finish in the 24th minute. Celtic try and go long, but Ross County read that situation, and Danda has it on the left-hand side of the Celtic half. The number 10 has to do a 360 turn to get himself out of trouble. That's nice from Baldwin, who just uses his body swerve to get past Kyogo, and Danda once again with a feint with his shoulder. He is clearly a baller, and understandably, Pat, there's going to be plenty of interest in the Ross County number 10.
If he was wearing number 10 but was wearing green and white stripes, you wouldn't be surprised, would you?
No,
he's of the quality of a team that's just survived relegation, but he wants to get on the ball. He's really comfortable on the ball. He's been put under pressure all the time, but he still wants it.
Ross County trying to play out from the back, and Kyogo almost has the ball at his feet, heading into the 18-yard box. And again, a lot of uncertainty in that Celtic back line, and Danda picks up the scraps, runs into White, and he can't hold off the challenge of Taylor. Celtic do have the ball back.
Yeah, it is intriguing. You're watching those two, Narocki at the back and Carter Vickers. Look, they're just getting used to each other. Centre-back partnerships often take a little bit of time. If I was a Celtic fan, I wouldn't worry about it too much, but they are quite regularly going for the same ball just now, and they need to understand who's the one that's going to attack it and who's the one that's going to drop off. They've not made any capital out of it so far, Ross County, but they can see there's a level of confusion there.
Maeda challenged by James Brown. Fairly, according to the referee, Celtic have the ball in the centre circle, Ross County portion of the field. 2-0, 36 minutes played. Narocki. It's now with Kyogo, 30 yards from goal. Lovely return pass. Turnbull in on goal. Great save from Laidlaw. A great double save from the Ross County keeper. And at the third time of asking, well, it should have been 3-0, but what a triple save from Ross Laidlaw.
No, talk about Laidlaw to start with. I mean, two really good. He stands up really big. He doesn't panic when he's got Turnbull bearing down on him. But what about the play of Celtic to get in there? Kyogo goes really short, gets the ball, turns beautifully. As soon as he turns, Turnbull just goes. He just moves. He thinks, I've got a good player on the ball there. I'm running into space. And I think he'll be slightly surprised that he didn't get the goal that would have been his second of the day.
Brown again bringing Ross County forward, and they do win another corner in this gripping contest. 2-0, and I think on many occasions you'd probably say this is Celtic home and hosed. But Ross County, particularly from set pieces, and Danda, their number 10, who does look the part for sporting that famous number with a right-footed in-swinging corner to the near post. It comes off two Celtic heads and now go behind for a seventh corner of the game over the opposite far side. Well,
Danda from the left-hand side there, he seems to have got his range now. That ball was whipped in brilliantly in the near post. Clearly it's something they've been working on. They didn't actually get the header, but Celtic couldn't clear it. It's maybe a little bit more difficult for Danda in the far side, because it's often an outswinger that he's trying to play there, and we shall see if that has the same effect.
It is going to be the right foot of Danda, but he goes short. Can he whip in a good delivery with his left? He can't beat Kyogo, first man. I'm just looking at the BBC Sport live text commentary of this, and it says County hard done by in terms of percentage of possession. 54% in the middle, 17% in the Ross County 18-yard box. 28.4% of the ball, Pat Nevin, has been in Celtic's 18-yard box,
which doesn't often happen at Celtic Park, I have to say. But you know, they'll just say, you can look at the stats all you like, but there's one particular stat that stands out before every single thing else. But in a way, you know, certainly Malcolm McCall will look at it and think, actually, the players are holding their own. They're looking okay just now. They've actually not lost belief yet, even though they're 2-0 down.
Here comes Celtic once again. Brown prevents the cross finding its way to Maeda, and the Japanese can't bring it down over his shoulder, and it will be a Ross County throw. 5 minutes plus normal time remaining in the first half. Celtic 2, Ross County 0. First day of the Scottish Premiership season, building up to the remaining kickoffs at 3 p.m. in this top flight, and it's Kilmarnock Rangers, the late kickoff at 5:15, and of course the English Football League season gets underway at 3 o'clock, the first Saturday of the new season. Of course, last night, Southampton winners away at Sheffield Wednesday. Ross County can't make good use of the throw. Can Celtic look to counter? O'Reilly has the ball played behind him, and it is Lautori who does well there, the Canadian for Ross County. Good strength to shield the ball in the centre of the field. Here come Ross County. Can't play the ball over to the far left-hand side. That's where Dander, they were looking for that number 10 all the time. And that's obvious, isn't it, Pat, that particularly from Ross County, the next pass is always, I've won it back, where's Dander? If
there's one question you would ask about, it's that final ball, if it's not Dander who's on it. You know, there's an easy ball out there to the left-hand side. They were in a great position, but they just couldn't make that final pass there. And that comes down to quality, just those little moments of quality. A few moments before, Kyogo got the ball in midfield and played the most beautiful through pass, and it finds the player. And you know, that may well just simply be the difference in these two teams just now. Final third, little bits of quality when you know the Celtic players are going to find that ball. Ross County haven't quite managed it yet.
Taylor striding forward once again, finds Maeda. Kyogo's dropped awfully deep. He's over the far left-hand side, a good 40 yards from goal, which Ross County will be more than happy to see. He scored the second goal, which gives them a lot more breathing space. And Kyogo's continued his run down the flank. Sends in the first-time cross over his shoulder. Nightingale's hooked clear. Finds Kyogo. Back to O'Reilly, left-hand side of the penalty area. Good strength to hold off the defender. Stands up the cross to the back post. Free header! And he's tapped home! Turnbull gets his second of the game. The flight deceived me. It ended up at his boot and he deflects it home. Well, after finding their feet in the opening 15 minutes, the champions are running away with things. Turnbull with his second of the game. Celtic's third. Celtic 3, Ross County 0.
Yeah, brilliant play again by Kyogo. You talked about him dropping deep there. By doing that, it confused the Ross County defence. He plays a through ball down the left-hand side, but it comes to that back post. And Turnbull, he's lighting this place up today. He scored 2. He should have got another one. He was unlucky not to get it. That finish there, the back poster, that's an incredibly hard finish. He's had to play it into the ground, managed to get it on, having a look for a possible ball out of play, which I must admit I didn't see. I think they're just having a look at everything at the moment.
Well, it is the first day in which the Scottish Premiership, the first day of the season which VAR has been to full effect in the Scottish Premiership. It wasn't introduced until October of last season. And again, much to do about nothing. The goal stands Celtic 3, Ross County 0. We've got less than 2.5 minutes of normal time remaining in the first half.
Well, there's a number of things here. I mean, this won't be an unexpected scoreline for many people who are watching from the outside. Obviously, the game, it's been very harsh actually in Ross County just now. But you've got to look at these moments of quality. But there's something a wee bit bigger maybe going on here. Turnbull starting this game, surprising a few people, getting the nod before Hatate. Scotland have got a number of players that play in that position. John McGinn, more than anyone else, who they're very, very reliant on. If he can keep up this style of play and this standard of play and this arriving in the box and scoring the way he has at the moment, he could be a real big player for the Scottish national team as well as Celtic. I think it's a stick on he's going to be a big player for Celtic, but it could be even bigger than that.
Well, it is a discussion point on the BBC Sport live text commentary as well. Hashtag BBC Football. Have your say. Turnbull already has half the amount of league goals he scored last season, and we barely played 45 minutes here. Celtic 3, Ross County 0, but still, as the commentators curse, I was just about to big up Ross County. A rare misplaced pass by them, it has to be said, gives back possession to the champion Celtic.
Yeah, it just, the heart must be ripped out of Ross County just now. It doesn't look as if it is, because they're still, working hard. They're still pushing as much as they possibly can. But they've given absolutely everything. They've played pretty well, and they're 3-0 down.
Abada, the Israeli, he's gone quiet, it has to be said, in the last quarter of an hour or so, but that's because other players for Celtic are getting more on the ball, principally Kyogo. He's got his first goal of the campaign, but a brace from an unlikely source, David Turnbull. He's had a frustrating time at Celtic, changing manager, changing opinion. He's in the starting lineup, and very much deserved from what we've seen in 44 minutes played of football, Pat Nevin.
There's many of us that really feel that if Turnbull wasn't getting regular starts at the start of the season, and maybe Brendan Rodgers said he would maybe have to be a bit player again, the best idea would be to leave. If he's going to try and get to the Euros, with Scotland have really needed an extra player, an extra man in that midfield player. And with the big championships coming up, you want to be there. He is good enough, but he needs to be playing every week. Do you know what? I won't be surprised if he's a fixture now from here on in not necessarily the Scotland team, but the Celtic team, because he just looks a class act there.
Just 5 international caps to his name, but on the suggestion of what we've seen in this first half, that could be changing over the next 12 months. Of course, Champions League football for Celtic once again this season, and the fourth official indicates there will be a minimum of 3 added minutes here of first half stoppage time. Celtic lead 3-0. Pat Nevin.
Yep, it's an easy one for Brendan Rodgers at half time. Slightly more difficult for Mark Mackay. What you're going to actually say to your players. You almost want to say, well, just keep doing what you're doing. Something, you might get something, you might get a goal. You certainly don't want to lose any confidence.
Long throw from Ross County. Nightingale tries to flick it on. Dander, 30 yards from goal, centre on. Stood roll over to try and send the ball out far wide to Randall, who was convinced he was offside, but just waited for the ball to go out of play. No intention of him chasing down that ball. We've got 2 balls on the pitch, but is it fair to say, opening 15 minutes, Pat, not played much competitive football, Celtic moving through the gears, and this is what we've more to expect for the rest of the campaign? The second half an hour of that first half.
I still don't think they've complete control of the actual ball, and possession the way they usually do. They've got complete control of the game. Sometimes you need to do something different. If a team's going to close you down and going to work hard against you, then it may well be that you have to play in the break and make good use of those moments when you get them. Celtic have got more than one string to their bow, so yeah, good 15 minutes, but more than good 15 minutes from Ross County, but it's not been good enough. Celtic
again gifting possession back to Ross County, who are trying to end the half with a real positive. They're down by the right hand corner flag. Ralston did well to try and get a clearance on. Well, Towery can't keep that in play. And what we will see in the English Football League this season is a stop clock, which does tell fans inside the stadium exactly how much added time has been played. We don't have that luxury here in the Scottish Premiership, but we are close to 2 minutes of added time played, a minimum of 3. Just a moment there for Abada. He's had 1 or 2 very good moves down the right hand side. He has played a lot for Celtic, and he has scored many goals, and he has created many goals, but he's basically replacing Jota just now, and that's a tough ask for any player, because Jota's been very good. Now the referee's going to... Yeah, I think he's going over to Malky Mackay, who's clearly been exchanging verbals with the fourth official, Colin Stephen, and the Ross County manager receives the second yellow card of the afternoon. Both have gone to the visitors. His captain, Jack Baldwin. Actually, Pat Nevin just indicating that's 3 yellow cards all the way. I think Nightingale got one as well, didn't he? All gone the way of Ross County, who trail 3-0 in first half added time. But still, they're trying to play football, Ross County, trying to come forwards. Ball over the top, asking a lot there of Murray from Harmon, but he certainly doesn't make life easy for Carter Vickers. Bundles him to the ground just to let him know he's there. To be fair, there's no way around there. There's a lot of Carter Vickers.
and he's managed to see it out.
So those who can, from a home perspective, stand to their feet to applaud the champions as they trudge off. Smiles all around. It was a penalty from Turnbull in the 17th minute. Kyogo doubled the advantage in the 26th, and then Turnbull added his second of the afternoon, approaching half-time, tapping home from the back post. I have to say, Pat, half-time Celtic 3, Ross County 0. Very harsh on Ross County.
Yeah, it's harsh, but that's the way football is. When you've got real quality, which Celtic have shown when they've had their few chances, they've taken them brilliantly. Kyogo is no surprise to anyone at all who knows anything about Scottish football. Then he gets his one opportunity, lands in the back of the net. But the real eye-opener is that man David Turnbull. He scored two. He could have had another one there. He arrives in the box and again, I don't want to say he's the same player, but you know the way Frank Lampard used to arrive in the box, you know, he's always getting there from midfield, and it's incredibly hard to pick up. His timing has been superb so far, and he seems to me to have grown since last season. So everyone will be talking to some degree about the 3-0, but for me, the big one has been Turnbull. I think he's been superb.
Well, half-time mark here at Parkhead. Celtic 3, Ross County 0.
Opening weekend of the Scottish season, opening weekend of the EFL as well. We'll go around the grounds from 3 o'clock, and we'll be back with Tom and Pat for the second half in around 15 minutes. Now, in the last half hour, it's been announced that the heavyweight boxing clash between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte is off. We'll find out why with Steve Bunce after the latest BBC News with Dina Campbell.
Listen on BBC Sounds. This is BBC Radio 5 Live.
Thanks, Mark. Ukraine has used a sea drone loaded with explosives to attack a Russian fuel tanker in the Black Sea. The vessel is under American sanctions for delivering jet fuel to the Kremlin's forces in Syria. Yesterday, there was a similar attack on a Russian Navy ship. Imran Khan has been arrested after a court sentenced him to 3 years in prison. The former Prime Minister of Pakistan and ex-international cricketer was found guilty of not declaring money he'd earned from selling gifts he received during his time in office. Mr. Khan plans to appeal. South Korea says it will press ahead with the World Scout Jamboree despite several countries pulling out due to extremely hot weather. Hundreds of teenagers at a campsite have been treated for heat-related illnesses. More than 4,000 British Scouts are being moved to hotels in the capital, Seoul.
The FIFA Women's World Cup.
What an outstanding finish from this outstanding player. They are through emphatically to the last 16 of the Women's World Cup.
England versus Nigeria. Monday morning at 8:30. Listen to the Football Daily podcast with all the reaction and analysis.
This game belongs to all of us.
The FIFA Women's World Cup on 5 Live and BBC Sounds.
This is 5 Live Sport with Mark Chapman.
Celtic 3-0 up on Ross County on the opening weekend of the Scottish season, back at Celtic Park shortly. Let's find out a little bit more then about the heavyweight boxing clash between Anthony Joshua and Dillian Whyte being called off. What's happened, Steve Bunce?
Well, it's quite simple. The pair of the fighters had signed up for the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association pre-fight ritual. It's expensive. It's nearly $30,000 per boxer. And basically, you can be randomly tested. That's the point of it. You've agreed to it. You've signed for it. And he has returned, according to VADA, as they are known, Dillian Whyte has returned an adverse analytical finding as part of a random anti-doping protocol test. And the fight has been instantly called off. No quiet under the carpet investigation, and we've had plenty of those in boxing, chappers. Dillian Whyte will not fight Anthony Joshua next Saturday at a sold-out O2, but the show has not been cancelled, and there is a very active programme going on right now to find a replacement that satisfies everybody.
How much of a mess is this division? I mean, for someone who doesn't work in boxing, it feels like at times they take us all for mugs a little bit.
Well, I think that's a slight understatement, chappers, and I might be not doing my sport very a service by saying that. We've got the champion of the world who hasn't fought since last December. He's stepping in the ring with a man from the world of mixed martial arts who's the UFC champion. The guy that fights in the octagon, little 4-ounce gloves where you can chokehold somebody into oblivion and win. He's fighting, his name's Francis Ngannou. He's fighting Tyson Fury in October. We all wanted to see Alexander Usyk, the Ukrainian who twice beat Anthony Joshua, unbeaten, a former Olympic champion and a good and decent man. We wanted to see him against Fury. That's not happening. Instead, Usyk's fighting in Poland in a couple of weeks' time against East London's Daniel Dubois. The fights we want aren't getting made. The fighters are out there. They're all making money, and it's a pity. And the sad thing is, Chabbers, last week in Las Vegas, we had, and it's a cliche, I know, I don't care, I'll use it, a fight for the ages. Terence Crawford, unbeaten, unified the welterweight division, that's 10 stone 7, by stopping his great nemesis and long-time rival, Errol Spence. We had a great high last week, and now we're in a slump.
Steve, thank you. Steve Bunt's with us on 5 Live Sport. Final day of glorious Goodwood next. John Hunt is in West Sussex. Stewards Cup goes off at 10-4. John, plenty of tradition here, and the field is huge.
Absolutely, Mark. Yes, good afternoon from a currently dry Goodwood, which is a real bonus, to be honest with you. Arrived at the track with a deluge, as has been the case all week. So very testing ground. And as you say, the Stewards Cup brings the curtain down on a week of fantastically high quality racing. It's a race with great tradition, as you said. It goes back hundreds of years, and a field of 28, one of the biggest fields in any race at any time of the year. Go to post at 3:35 this afternoon. The current favourite, needless to say, is a horse who loves galloping in the mud. His name is Orazio, and he's trained by Jim Crowley, who's had quite a week. 7 days ago he was winning the King George at Ascot, and of course he also won the Nassau Stakes this week with Al Hoosen. So it looks as though Crowley has got a perfect ride on Orazio. He's certainly the punter's pick of the 28.
36 years since his first ever win here. Frankie Dettori has a chance at 3 o'clock for a poetic ending.
He does, yeah. He loves this place. Last glorious Goodwood then for Frankie. I've just seen him 10 minutes ago with his spectacles, his sunglasses on. He doesn't need those today, but he looks super relaxed, super chilled. He's actually got a ride in that Stewards Cup called Mum's Tipple. Should be like a 16-1 live outsider sort of horse. But yeah, the ride that he's got earlier today in the 3 o'clock race, the Lily Langtry Stakes, is the race that really is the one that Frankie will be hoping to strike in. He rides the favourite Free Wind, who's a really talented mare. She's trained by John Gosden, and she looks to have all the credentials to carry off that second major prize of the day. And in doing so, it would be saying particularly warm farewell to Dettori, who in 1987 won his first ever race here at Goodwood on a horse called Lizzie Hare. And to mark the day, nice touch, away to the left there's a huge hill, obviously the Sussex Downs surrounded by hills and undulations, but on that hill away to the left, huge Goodwood placed banner saying farewell Frankie in yellow and red colours, and that's a sentiment that everybody will get behind this afternoon. It'd be nice if Dettori could leave Goodwood with a winner today. He certainly has a decent chance at 3 o'clock.
More from John throughout the course of the afternoon. Now, the Rugby Union World Cup starts in a month in France. All home nations have warm-up matches today. Scotland-France at 3:15. Wales-England at 5:30. Ireland-Italy at 8 o'clock. Squads are going to be named soon for the tournament. Sarah Orchard spoke to Steve Borthwick about England's team selection.
We've kept the squad pretty tight throughout the preparation periods in terms of the numbers we have in camp. I think most of the 33 pretty clear. There's obviously one or two places that need to be written in pencil currently, but they need to be written in pen.
Is that it, one or two?
I think that's the situation, but I'm also really aware that things change, and you and I both know that over the coming weeks before the tournament starts, we're still a number of weeks away from the tournament actually starting, and then through the tournament itself, that things change, and it is absolutely conceivable and more than likely that a player who's not named in the 33 will play a major role in the World Cup. That's past World Cups keep telling us that.
When it comes to the performance we'll see from England, is it going to be similar to what we saw in the Six Nations? Have you changed things, or is it you want the same but you want better?
Well, every day, as I say, every day I ask the players to move forward and improve. I ask the team to move forward, and I ask the coaches to move forward. That's what we're intent to do, and that's what we've been doing since the first day of camp. Now, as I say, this is the first test of a series of test matches as we prepare for the World Cup. I expect the team to improve through these test matches, and I think one of the important elements to recognise here is that announcing the squad on Monday is an important step, and the reason it's such an important step for us is to build the cohesion and those combinations that we need that are going to be so integral to our Rugby World Cup games.
Steve Borthwick with Sarah Orchard, 4 hours until kick-off. Normally when we talk to our rugby union correspondent in Cardiff ahead of Wales-England, he spends most of the time trying to pretend he isn't in a pub. But I'm told you're actually in the stadium.
Snuck into the stadium. Yeah, very eerie. The roof is shut, feels very dark. But yeah, we're here nice and early. For what's going to be...
Are you a man alone with your thoughts?
Yeah, a few security guys. And it's sort of army folk doing some kind of dance down there. It's actually fascinating being so early. But yeah, what we'll get from the game, anyone's guess really, Mark, two kind of thrown together sides who haven't played in ages, and yeah, all eyes from an England point of view on their squad announcement on Monday. Warren Gatland's going with his squad announcement in a few weeks' time.
Probably more of a manoeuvre than a dance, I would suggest. Before we do England-Wales, or Wales-England rather, just the game that happened overnight, with the All Blacks coming from behind to beat Eddie Jones's Australia.
Yeah, Australia, having lost their first three under Eddie Jones, were 20-1 to win in Dunedin. They went 17-3 up at half-time. New Zealand came back, kicked a goal for 20-all, and then a Mwanga goal to win it right at the death. So agony for Australia. This would have been a huge win for Jones, because he's gone 0-3 in his first three, and there would have been some Australian fans going, oh, come on, you got rid of Dave Rennie, a renowned coach, to bring Eddie Jones back, and he's not worked his magic yet. So a win in New Zealand would have done wonders. A lot better from Australia. Strength of New Zealand's depth and their bench told in the end. There's a good Australian team here. Can Eddie Jones get it out of them? And that's really the story for Wales and England. There's a good team here for Wales. There's a good team for England. Somewhere can Steve Borthwick and Warren Gatland get them to emerge?
Warren Gatland said this week, I promise you now, we'll surprise a few people at the World Cup. I am telling you now that this team will do something special. Do you believe him?
It's difficult. It's difficult to believe him in one sense, because recent history with Wales on and off the pitch suggests they're in a bit of a hole. They've lost 5 key players in the summer. Ken Owen's out for the tournament injured. Alan Wynne-Jones retiring. Justin Tipuric retiring. Cora Hill, Rhys Webb taking contracts overseas. So on one hand, you think Wales aren't going to make a dent on this World Cup. On the other, Gatland's done it before, and it's quite contradictory. He's telling everyone how good they're going to be while saying, keep writing us off. That's when the Welsh team thrives. Can he talk about Eddie Jones recreating his magic from his second stint with Australia? Can Gatland do that? Because 12 years ago, Wales were in transition. They had a leadership vacuum, which Sam Warburton so brilliantly filled, and they went to the World Cup semi-final, so close to the final. Wales fans will be hoping Gatland can work his magic all over again, but he is coming into a different context, different situation with Welsh rugby than he was when he was first in charge.
And on England, where are the biggest question marks for you then ahead of the squad announcement?
Well, again, what's interesting is how every head coach is doing it differently. We touched upon how Borthwick is naming his right away, just to take away any of that selectorial jeopardy that could dog teams through August. Gatland's waiting until the 21st. Gregor Townsend with Scotland 16th. Andy Farrell right at the end on the 28th. And while Gatland says he might know one of his 33, Borthwick says he's pretty much got his team in mind. I think that's a message to the players to say, look, don't go playing for yourself today. You're much better off being part of a good England performance and a win, and that will do your individual cause no harm at all. But focus on the team first. So Borthwick has said in the message that he's pretty much got his squad wrapped up. Whether it's completely true or not, we shall see. But it's the back five of the scrum, really. The likes of Tom Pearson, George Martin, Alex Dombrent, they need good games today. Danny Kerr and Marcus Smith will both go at 9 and 10. Kerr back in the fold. Will Rugby Union Weekly have representative at the World Cup? It's certainly looking good. And then there's other players on the bench, the likes of Tom Willis and Theo Dan, midfield Guy Porter and Joe Marchand. So even though Borthwick says it's not about this 80 minutes, there's going to be a lot that could still be swayed, you think, depending how people go.
Hugo Monnier and Chris Ashton on the latest Rugby Union Weekly pod, which is back up and running, by the way. Quick one on Scotland. Finn Russell captaining them. What does that indicate to you?
Well, it indicates Jamie Ritchie doesn't make it with a little niggle, so he'll be back in a week or two. But it shows how Russell, a year ago, remember, Mark, he was persona non grata when it came to Gregor Townsend, and now he's not only the key playmaker once more, but he's leading the side. It is a fully locked and loaded Scotland side. So while England and Wales tinker and experiment today, Gregor Townsend's rolling out the big guns. It'd be huge for their confidence if they can beat France this afternoon, given that Scotland are going into quite simply the hardest group, I think, in World Cup history, with Ireland and South Africa also there.
For the moment, Chris, thank you very much. Scotland-France then at 3:15, Wales-England at 5:30. Updates throughout the afternoon here on 5 Live. A couple of football lines for you, transfer-wise, involving the two Manchester clubs. United have confirmed the signing of Rasmus Højlund, the Danish striker from Atalanta, for £72 million. Josko Gvardiol has become the second most expensive defender of all time, signing a 5-year deal with Manchester City. He's cost £77 million from RB Leipzig. Just back to United, they're in action today at Old Trafford right now against Lens in a friendly. Their two other summer signings have had interesting afternoons. Mason Mount miskicked in front of an open goal from 6 yards out, and Andre Onana has been beaten from 50 yards, and Lens lead by a goal to nil. Early days though, Pat Nevin. Early days, pre-season friendlies.
Yeah, you forget all about them after they're finished. If you have a good start to the season, and in Mason Mount's case, then we're desperate to forget them. But no, those new buys there, they're very, very interesting. But certainly Gvardiol for 77, bargain.
Yes.
Absolute bargain.
Yeah.
So he'll be superb, perfectly made for City, and will be one of the great centre-backs in English league history.
Well, made for City because of his versatility and what he does on the ball.
Yeah, I can remember watching him 2 or 3 years ago international games, and you're thinking, you're already, as a youngster, 2021 or whatever it was at the time, head and shoulders above everybody else, not just in terms of physique, pace, reading the game, but as you say, on the ball. He could be a centre midfielder as well as a centre back. So, yeah, nailed on, perfect for Manchester City.
Round the grounds from 3 o'clock on the opening weekend of the EFL season and the Scottish season. Also at 3 o'clock, the second semi-final at the Netball World Cup, Jamaica against Australia. England made the final for the first time in their history earlier when they beat New Zealand. Back to Celtic Park now. Pat Nevin alongside Tom Gale with the home side 3-0 up.
Thank you, Mark. Players are out for the second half. Doesn't look to be any changes. So before we get underway, I can run you through the champions, Celtic. Green and white hoop shirt, white shorts, white socks. So it's Joe Hart in goal, the back four of Ralston, Carter-Vickers, Rocky and Taylor. Midfield, Turnbull, O'Reilly and McGregor, and the attacking trio of Maeda, Kyogo and Obada. As for the visitors, Ross County, Laidlaw in goal, the back three of Baldwin, Nightingale and Harmon. Midfield of Sims, Lautori, Randall and Brown. Danda in the number 10 role behind the strikers of White and Murray. We are all set. We are back underway in the second half. Celtic kicking from right to left as myself and Pat Nevin watch on. And a much brighter start than we saw in the first half as O'Reilly fancies his chances from 30 yards. You do that when you're 3-0 up, you can try that one and your manager won't shout at you.
Well, do it once. Shout at you if you try it again and don't get it on target. But lively start again. The question remains, will Celtic be able to keep up, the pace that they did last season? The one thing that you've got if you're a Ross County fan is a worry. They're going to have to keep on playing at the pace of they've been at just to keep it the way it is. They haven't got as much strength and depth as Celtic are in the bench. Celtic could make 4 or 5 changes and would not weaken their team in any way whatsoever. So a lot of questions that Malcolm Mackay will be thinking about just now, and Brendan Rodgers will be thinking, if we get another goal, they're thinking, who can I get on the pitch? Give them some minutes.
Ross County all in blue, continuing their high press, which did pay dividends in the opening quarter of an hour. There was more than one nervy moment for Joe Hart and not yet fully fit Cameron Carter-Vickers amongst that back line, and add in Naroki, a debutant, getting his first taste of the Scottish Premiership. It has give cause for optimism, it has to be said, for Ross County, but I think they know that they're going to be heading home without any points. It's just how competitive they can make this second half.
Well, I can see one change that has been made by Ross County. They're getting a wee bit more of an eye on Turnbull at the moment. Laturi was on him there, and as soon as he stayed on him and looked at him and faced him up, he's lost him. Again, do you see the way that Turnbull actually goes and picks up space? He's done it really well, Jen. I think he was filled in.
There's the man with 2 goals to his name. He got the first from the penalty spot and the back post for the third, and Kyogo it was, finishing off a really neatly worked Celtic move, which gives us the scoreline currently as we play 2 minutes in the second half of Celtic 3, Ross County 0. This is Tom Gale alongside former Scotland international Pat Nevin. BBC 5 Live, BBC Sounds, opening day in the Scottish Premiership, and of course it's the first Saturday of the new EFL season, so Mark Chapman and our team of reporters will take you around the grounds for all the goals and the stories as they go in. But the narrative currently here at the moment, Pat, is Brendan Rodgers back in the dugout and off to a comfortable victory.
Yeah, at the moment. I mean, last season, we were talking to him before the game, he has to do at least as well as Postecoglou did. Well, during last season, it works out exactly, rather pleasingly. Celtic scored an exact average of 3 goals in every single league games. So far, 3 in one half. Brendan will be happy.
Well, you have to go all the way back to April 2019 for the last time Celtic dropped points at home to a side that wasn't called Glasgow Rangers. That's the size of the task for Ross County. I think without any disrespect intended, they know their ambitions are certainly mid-table. If they can push into that top half, that would be a successful campaign for Malky Mackay in his 3rd stint in charge. As Carter Vickers just heads the ball back to his goalkeeper Joe Hart and then berates Naroki, or is it the referee's assistant there? I think, is he appealing for offside there, Pat?
I think possibly a bit of both there, because Naroki wasn't working off him. I mean, he's saying to him, look, we need to work together as a duo here. And I think he was actually having a little bit of a dig at his left full-back there as well, Taylor, saying, look, you need to cover in when the balls are coming from that sort of deep area. Not getting a lot of help there, and I think Carter Vickers is saying, look, we're a unit. We need to work together as a unit. Now, you're 3-0 up, but you still get that high standards. That's a really positive sign.
Ross County doing well. It was the Canadian Lautori who won the ball back in the centre of the park, and now they're building from the right back position. Their captain, Jack Baldwin, his intended ball down the line goes out of play. Brown, one of the new summer signings from Blackburn Rovers, but only saw 1 single appearance for the Championship club. He's been out on loan, but now has a permanent home at Ross County. And it's Carter Vickers on the ball to Ralston. Neat triangles from Celtic as they continue to dominate proceedings here. Turnbull, nice turn. The luminous pink boots, but credit Randall, he stuck to his task, making life difficult for them. And my taxi driver was telling me on the way in, Pat, that, you know, this is what size of, you know, when they play Rangers and Celtic, they know they have to be on it in terms of not getting embarrassed, but it is a showcase, isn't it? Playing the very best. Players are always going to be up for when you're playing Celtic away or Rangers away.
And that's one of the things, if you are Celtic and Rangers, you have to understand that every team wants to be at the best. They're going to give every ounce of energy they've got, so you need to be close to your best to beat them.
Ralston's cross into O'Reilly, 6 yards out. Good sliding tackle. Had to keep his eyes on the ball there. The Ross County captain, Jack Baldwin, nipping away.
You can already see it's much harder for Ross County to do that high press. They've kind of had a half-hearted attempt at it, just as I'm speaking there, and they were easily passed through. That's not a good sign.
Taylor striding forwards on the left-hand side towards the 18-yard box, slowed up. Heads back to Maeda. Back to Carter Vickers, who's not fully fit, the American international, but growing throughout the campaign, playing on Tuesday, and James Forrest's testimonial as the neat side-footed strikes followed up by Maeda. A combination of Browner, I'm not sure if the goalkeeper got a touch there, denies Celtic a 4.
You can see it already. I mean, I usually look at about 55-60 minutes before you see the legs going. You see the legs going already on this Ross County side. And maybe psychologically it's going to be hard as well. You know, it's a long way to go back. But at the moment, they're not being able to get close to those Celtic players, and the gaps are opening up. And if you leave gaps when you've got the likes of Turnbull around, you've got Kyogo around, it spells trouble.
First corner of the second half for the defending champion, sent in by O'Reilly. He'll have another go. It's defended well at the near post. We've got the multi-ball system, so he's instantly got another option to take that quickly. But he pauses. England youth international, but due to his mother, he switched allegiance to Denmark. Gone as high as an under-21 cap. Trying to get into that senior setup, sends in a delicious ball to the penalty box, but Ross County again standing firm, head the ball clear. McGregor. It's back now with O'Reilly on this left-hand side. Tries to play it down the line for Taylor. It's going to roll out harmlessly for a Ross County goal kick. We've played 52 minutes, Celtic 3, Ross County 0, Pat Nevin.
Just a bad moment there for O'Reilly. He actually kicked his own foot. He tried to do the ball through there. You can get away with that, but see, when you're wearing luminous pink boots, it kind of shows up a wee bit.
Yeah. New boots for the new season. Stick with us. throughout this Saturday afternoon on 5 Live. All the football headlines to bring you. And don't forget, further reaction to England's netballers sealing their place in a first ever World Cup final. And Anthony Joshua against Dillian White is off. More details on all of that on the BBC Sport website and app. If you're heading out and about this afternoon, please take BBC Sounds with you. You can keep in touch with myself and Pat Nevin here at Celtic Park, with Celtic 3 goals to the goods, and all those goals as they go in the EFL Championship kick-offs and the Scottish Premiership kick-offs at 3 p.m. with Mark Chapman and the team. Celtic over the right-hand side, cross the halfway line, check back to O'Reilly. Ross County are chasing shadows here. Big gaps beginning to open up. Nightingale gets a crucial interception because Kyogo was in behind there, but Celtic have the loose ball. Can't find Turnbull. Nightingale stepping up well. The AFC Wimbledon loanee wins the ball back, finds Dander. And I guess if Ross County have any way of getting back into this, Dander's got to man the ball more.
And he's not got much of a kick and much of a view of the ball in this second half, but it's hard because his entire team are either stepped off a pace, they're not getting in the faces of the Celtic players, and it's bordering on a bit of a cruise just now for Celtic. And if they do score the next goal, you wouldn't be surprised if Brendan Rodgers thinks, okay then, let's go and get other players on, because they'll all want to get involved.
O'Reilly, right hand side of the penalty area, back to Kyogo, lashes the right footed strike. It took a deflection, goes behind for a Celtic corner.
I mean, I don't think he knew anything about that there. It's come off his face, I think, there. And Kyogo was probably on target. I say that as a guess, it's a distance away, but it is Kyogo, so generally is on target. But goes back for a corner kick. It'll take a wee bit of a moment. Take it over that one. Ball straight in the face with a lot of power. Lovely technique from the Japanese, one of the standout stars of the Scottish Premiership. One of. I would argue the. Yes,
you heard it here first. That's the views of former Scotland international Pat Nevin alongside me here. Celtic corner taken by Turnbull. 2 goals to his name already. Laidlaw comes to try and punch. Defender got in the way. The initial follow-up there was by Taylor. His half volley was cleared. But Celtic continuing to ask questions in this second half, which is 10 minutes old. Celtic 3, Ross County 0. Results earlier in the day from the Women's World Cup. Switzerland 1, Spain 5, and Japan 3, Norway 1. So those 2 teams booking their places in the quarter-finals. Can the Lionesses do the same? Monday morning, 8 a.m, 5 Live. England against Nigeria. Full commentary with Vicky Sparks. 8:30 kickoff. Celtic left-hand side of the 18-yard box, trying to play neat passes. It looks as though there's going to be a double change for Ross County. Turner and Allardyce stripped and ready to go on, receiving some last-minute instructions from Malky Mackay. What were you thinking there, Pat?
Well, it's just what I said before. I usually leave it 55-60 if there's any tiredness. I think Malky Mackay looked after 2 minutes and thought, actually, we need help in there. And they've not been able to close down. Very, very different look to the side there. And they did put a huge amount of effort in, but they do look tired. You're seeing that in the middle of the park there. They need to get some energy in there, and there's nothing away from the fact that they have worked very, very hard, and the board is working. Well done.
And it is Simon Murray, who was certainly early on the main bright spot from Ross County, almost benefited from lapses of concentration in that back line. And it looks it's actually going to be a triple change for Ross County there. As I can see, Alex Samuel, Kyle Turner and Scott Allardyce make their way onto the field, and they are there to replace Josh Sims, Victor Lotori, and as we discussed there, Simon Murray.
Yeah, I'm not in any way surprised. That makes a very, very intelligent piece of play there by Malky Mackay. I want to see how the team looked when they come out for the second half. Clearly, they're chasing after shadows at this point in time, so a little bit of energy there, up front as well as in the midfield, and that makes good sense. But will it be enough to, I'm not going to say change the outcome of this game, but get them some sort of foothold in this game and get the ball up front a little bit?
And I know obviously they're taking on arguably the best side in the division, Pat, but as it put into context those 4 League Cup games, which of course are against lower tier opposition, you'd think they'd be match fit and match ready, but when you come up against the best, they really work you hard.
They do. Well, they worked themselves hard, I would say that. They did close down so well. They were high press as much as they possibly could for 15, 20, maybe even 25 minutes, but they weren't able to do that at the start of the second half. However, having said that, have a look at it just now. They're a little bit further up the field again, just as those new players come on.
They are playing a high line, Ross County, but Celtic are in behind. Maeda's ball across. Nightingale with a good recovery slide. And he's able to cushion it away from his goal, but it didn't have enough heat on it to go behind for a corner. Ross Laidlaw smothers that. And that's always the threat, isn't it, Pat? That you push high, Celtic on a sixpence, turn, counter, they're up the other end trying to create goal scoring opportunities.
And they have got brilliant pace. Abada's very, very quick. Maeda's very, very quick, but also just constant running, never seems to stop at any point in time. And we know how sharp that Kyogo is up front. So I think the next one you'll look at Brendan Rodgers down there thinking, do any of my players need a rest? Do I want to work them too hard this early in the season? They're just getting into it, and as again you have to mention that this is a very, very big Celtic squad for a Scottish Premiership side, so you need to keep all the players, or as many of them, happy as you possibly can.
Well, we do anticipate there's probably going to be some outgoings at Celtic, certainly not sure if there'll be many more incomings under this summer transfer window, but looking ahead further down the line, it's a busy fixture period. Aberdeen away, Kilmarnock in the Cup, St Johnstone, and then that game before the international break away at Glasgow Rangers. It's Ross County on Turner, the substitute, right hand side of the penalty area. He's double teamed. Brown sends in the cross to the back post, which evades everyone. White can't bring it under control. Harmon can, ball across, headed behind by Carter Vickers.
Made a wee difference, certainly, making those 3 substitutions. A bit of energy in the field there, getting into a good position. The disappointment was the first ball on from the right hand side, put in a really dangerous area. I mean, if that's Kyogo, he's on the end of that, isn't he? But there's nobody going chasing into that area between the centre backs and goalkeeper.
Our plays, Celtic 3, Ross County 0. Corner to the visitors in front of the Lisbon Lions stand. It's a wicked in-swinger, and it's a header at the back post from White, which does find its way in the back of the net. Far right of the 6-yard box. It went a good 20 foot in the air, looped over everyone in a Celtic shirt, stunned into silence. Celtic 3, Ross County 1.
Well, that is stunned into silence. It's a weird goal the way it actually went in there. Very, very difficult to see that coming, because there's so much height on it, and when it comes to that back post, but he's headed it. Nothing Joe Hart can do about that. I don't actually know how much he knew about the header. He just got his head on the end of it.
Well, I guess all good strikers get on the other end of it, make things happen, and Simon Jordan White has his first goal of the season. He's played in every single tier of Scottish football, and he has the first non-Celtic goal of the new campaign. Celtic 3, Ross County 1.
Yep, that's a little bit. I think Marky McCall would be delighted that he made those changes. It's had an immediate impact, so we'll cheer him up no end just now. But can they add another one? That would ask a question.
Once again, Celtic looking a little shaky in the back line. Naroki, who's had a mixed bag, it has to be said, on his Scottish Premiership debut. Of course, new country, new surroundings, new type of football. German-born, Werder Bremen Academy, but brought in from Poland, and a new partnership alongside Cameron Carter-Vickers. And Ross County win the ball back, deep in their own half. Dander plays it in field to Allardyce. Heavy touch from him, though. Could he be made to pay here? Celtic, McGregor, 25 yards out from goal, trying to walk it in as the shot is initially taken on there, in the end by Abada.
Yeah, it's really opening out, isn't it? And as I said before, I think Brendan Rodgers would probably think now, oh, wait a minute, they're going to get back into that. As a Celtic, we'd be thinking, are they tiring just a little bit just now? Looking at 1 or 2 players out there, it's early season. They're not all in mid-season fitness form, as you've mentioned with Carter Vickers particularly, but 1 or 2 others as well. So, the energy of someone like Hatate in the midfield, you think that would be a sensible move.
Well, interestingly, since that Ross County goal had gone in, it's the first time we've seen Brendan Rodgers venture to the edge of his technical area in this second half. Well, it's the final day of Glorious Goodwood, and we've got news of the Coral Stewart Sprint Handicap. John Hunt.
Yes, this a consolation race for those who didn't quite manage to get into the main event today, the Stewards Cup. It has been won by the 9-2 favourite, Monsieur Cody. Two things here of real interest. Trainer Richard Fahey scores. Richard has got vintage clarets in the big one itself. And this winner, Monsieur Cody, made his way to the far side running rail. So it would imagine that those drawn low in the Stewards Cup would be favoured off the back of that. And favourite Orazio fits that bill in stall number 6 in a couple of hours' time.
Thank you, John. More from John Hunt, and the final day of action at Glorious Goodwood throughout the afternoon here on 5 Live BBC Sounds. Celtic 3, Ross County 1. We played 62 minutes, and Celtic were leading 3-0 at half-time, so it's all about their all-important next goal, Pat Nevin, and Ross County have got it.
Yeah, and talking about great comebacks of all time in Scottish football, this would be one of them if they managed to come back from 3-0 down. But they must have a little bit of confidence in themselves after that last game of last season against Partick Thistle. Certainly, and as you've mentioned rightfully, the substitutes are clearly up for this one. Certainly there, Kyle Turner of Partick Thistle, so he was on the receiving end of that defeat in the Scottish Premiership relegation playoff in this new club. Ross County all in blue, keeping this one competitive. It was one of those where at half-time I send off to the statisticians a request of what Celtic's biggest ever opening day wins, and likewise Ross County's biggest opening day losses. At the moment, Ross County are showing, after a change of personnel, it has to be said, that's been a real key there, Pat. Well, that they can make this competitive for the here on out. Absolutely. If they hadn't made that change, I'd have said the more likely score would have been 6. But they've made those 3 changes, and it has completely changed the game. And they're not controlling the game, Ross County, just now, but they're not chasing shadows all the time. Another injury there. Yeah, Allardyce, one of those substitutes, he's gone down, but the referee is letting play continue. He's literally just walked past the Ross County centre midfielder as the attack continues now for Celtic over the far right-hand side. Played in towards Kyogo. Abada lays off to the Japanese. It works its way to the right-hand side of the penalty area. Vicious ball across 4 yards from his own goal. Nightingale sends it high up into the sky. Still in play over that far side. You should play that out there. You've got to help your mate there. You're down to 10 men. You've got to play it out when you get a chance. Celtic still attacking. Allardyce for Ross County still down. He's a good 40 yards away from his own goal and 15 yards shy of the actual action, which does continue to go on. Referee Nick Walsh does not want to stop play. Allardyce is back on his feet, but he does not look comfortable, Pat. Well, to be honest, Ross County had a chance to put it out there. They should have put it out. The referees, there's no reason why the referee shouldn't actually keep the game playing. It's not an injury that's, an incredibly serious one, a broken leg or something like that, or a head injury. The referee's doing the right thing there. And you can argue that as a consequence of that, James Brown's frustration at Celtic winning a free kick, he hammered the ball against the advertising hoardings and picks up Celtic's 3rd on-field booking of the game. And of course, Malky Mackay was also booked in the first half as well, and it's a double change for Celtic. And perhaps we could have predicted this one. It's been an interesting debut for Mike Naroki, Polish under-21 international, signed over the summer from Legia Warsaw. Maybe the future centre-half at Celtic, but certainly last campaign it was the Swede Carl Starfelt who comes on. Yeah, no real surprises, is it? It will be no hat-trick for David Turnbull. He's going to make way for Hatate. Well, I wonder if, I'm trying to see if it is. They put up a 4 for 14 there. But do you know what? Those numbers in the Celtic back are awful, aren't they? They are dreadful. You can't tell them. We're in dangerous territory, Pat, when commentators start complaining about stripes on shirts, but I am all in. I will go with you with that one. It's a stinker. The changes are not complete, unfortunately, for Ross County. Allardyce, the substitute who came on in the second half, he's going to have to be replaced, and Jay Henderson. So Malky Mackay forced into a 4th change. Yeah, I wouldn't have wanted that. It worked so well for him as soon as he made those changes, but it was one of those ones where he went down. He was off the ball. There wasn't any contact from anyone else. So he's currently discussing with the medical team exactly what it is. The issue is it was certainly upper leg, so maybe a hamstring, but that's me purely speculating there.
But back to the action on the field. We've had quite a lengthy delay there. We've got 22 minutes plus added time remaining. Celtic free kick. Wide left of the 18-yard box. Swung to the back post. It evades everybody. And it's going to go out for a Ross County throw, just a couple of yards up from the corner flag.
It wasn't the best ball in there, but quite a few changes there. And that's disrupted it. And I think Celtic would be happy with disruption at that point in time because of a little bit of play. They get the goal, obviously, from Ross County. They've had enough corner kicks. It looks as if at some point they might get something out of one of them, but oddly it didn't look the best delivery when they got the ball in. It was so much air and it was so high to the back post, but there was enough from White there to go and chase it and just put his body in the way, and he got the header in. And they'll be thinking to themselves, if they can sneak another goal in the next 10-15 minutes, Ross County, you just never know.
We could be set for an interesting finish on the opening day of the Scottish Premiership. Celtic 3, Ross County 1. Both managers making changes, and it is the more established centre-half duo of Starfelt and Carter Vickers.
I suppose if you've spent quite a bit of money, in Scottish terms as it were, for a new centre-back, you've got to give him a little bit of a chance just now. But I think it was notable last season that there was a little bit of a weakness there, a problem there, that if one area in the Celtic's back line, or even in the entire team, was that centre-back area that needed certainly some depth.
First early touch there for Starfelt with Ross County pressing high. Blue shirts really carrying out a high line, and they win the throw, which is pretty much parallel with Joe Hart's 18-yard box line. And Brown, who received a booking just a few moments ago, actually, he's not going to take the throw. They're going to leave it to their captain, Jack Baldwin, who does have some guns on him.
Well, the one in the first half, his first long throw in the first half, really caught Celtic out, and they were at 6s and 7s, and the ball just didn't drop where they needed it to, but he's got a lot of height in there to aim at.
Just to clarify, guns, I'm talking biceps there. They're in full effect as it heads towards the penalty area. Carter Vickers half clears, hooked up into the sky by Taylor to the halfway line. Ross County throw. At what point do Ross County, of course they're already making great gambles, Pat, in terms of the amount of bodies they're getting forward, but if they can get 3-2, at what time of this game, we're in the 70th minute, do they really need to start going for broke, I guess?
I mean, I think you go for broke here at your peril. I mean, you're just sensible, try and play yourself into it, try and get other one or two opportunities. If you really do push it on, again, it could get embarrassing. At the moment, they're back in the game to some degree. They're creating the odd chance to some degree. To try and play really high press the way they did in the first half, I'm not sure Malcolm Mackay would do that with anything other than about 5 minutes to go.
Celtic seeing plenty of the ball. 3-1 up here, live on 5 Live, BBC Sounds. Don't forget, Mark Chapman and the team will keep you updated with all the goals throughout the English Football League and the Scottish Premiership this afternoon on 5 Live. And tomorrow, the Community Shield, Arsenal, Manchester City. Ian Dennis and Dion Dublin calling that one. 4 p.m. tomorrow, 5 Live Sports. And of course, if you want to have your say on all the day's football, that's Women's World Cup, Scottish Premiership, Scottish Football League, English Football League. Aaron Paul and Joby McAnuff will be taking your calls in 6:06. That's after Sports Report. Maeda for Celtic. Switched flanks to the left-hand sides. Still Ross County working so hard off the ball. They've refreshed personnel in the centre of the park, but Malky Mackay sticking to the game plan of making Celtic work for this. Stelfelt is able to walk forward over the halfway line. McGregor trying to bring a bit more pace and intensity to proceedings. The Celtic captain, as Kyogo tries an ambitious ball there to try and get Abada in behind. Celtic throw 10 yards in from the corner flag over the far left-hand side, attacking the Jock Stein stand. And for those who are maybe not wholly happy about Brendan Rodgers returning to the Celtic dugout, Pat, what would you think they're making of sitting the slight naysayers of what we've seen in this 72 minutes so far?
If you're a fan, you can have an opinion about it, and some will find it very difficult, to forgive Brendan, because he left at what there was a very, very important time. Celtic supporters of a certain grouping think there's no bigger team in the world. Why should you leave us? And you understand that, because that's what you feel about your team. As I say, I think they will hold judgment for a little while, some of those fans, but I think the vast majority are fairly much on side with Brendan Rodgers, and after today, still happy enough.
Brendan Rodgers, winners of back-to-back trebles here, 69 unbeaten. O'Reilly's in behind, right hand side of the penalty area. He let it bounce before pulling back his right boot. Vicious strike, no stopping that. That should be about it in terms of where the points are going. Celtic 4, Ross County 1.
I mean, first of all, really nails it, doesn't he? But what about the little flight ball by Kyogo? It is pure class. Round the corner. I mean, he's had two brilliant involvements in goals and setups, Kyogo. I mean, you talk about the fact that he's a very, very good at, finishing the opportunities, but that one was absolutely brilliant. Nailed it, half volley. He had so much time when he got into the box there, but that was because of the beauty of the ball by Kyogo. Well done, White, for getting the goal that he sorry, I don't say White. O'Reilly for getting the goal that he's deserved all the game.
So just double checking to see if it goes with the theme of opening day in the Scottish Premiership of whether or not a VAR check is required. No. So that goal does stand. Celtic 4, Ross County 1. 3 different goal scorers for the champions and 3 different assist makers. Kyogo, who got the second turning provider there, and I guess that was one of the challenges that Brendan Rodgers had for a player such as Matt O'Reilly. More goals. Yes, you're good with the assists, but what was it, 3 league goals last season? He'd want more from him.
Yeah, and it may well be that Brendan Rodgers plays certain players and systems slightly differently that allows players like Turnbull and O'Reilly to get forward a wee bit more.
Ross County free kick, stood up into the 18-yard box, but Joe Hart, who's been a relative bystander
right, I'm not being a troublemaker, Tom, right? I promise you I'm not. Okay. You see that little flick ball through by a centre forward coming deep and flicking it in? Did that remind you of somebody like, say, Harry Kane?
Harry Kane still, as we understand, a Tottenham Hotspur player. Bayern Munich have made their interest more than well known. Ange Postecoglou, that's one of the many questions he'll have ahead of the Premier League opening season in England. But here in Scotland, business as usual for Celtic, as Maeda has the ball on the left-hand side of the 18-yard box. They're currently on course for Brendan Rodgers' biggest ever win on opening day in a Scottish Premiership season back in 2017. He won 4-1 here against Hearts. And again, once again, Pat, 4-1, but the scoreline doesn't tell the story of just how well Ross County at times, and that's always crucial, how well at times they played in this match.
Yeah, I mean, again, work rate, no complaints about that. I mean, there's been good skills. It's a little bit of a shame that Jan Dander's kind of fallen out of the game a little bit. He's not really got control of the midfield there. I mean, that's partly because of, Celtic have played it a slightly different way, but, there was a story in the first half, but when you get right down to it, the quality, the pure quality of top-class players is showing constantly in the final third.
And here is Hatate, head up, looking for runners, and a deflects first to Kyogo, 6 yards out, and it's a lovely tackle, a stud tackle from James Brown to deny the Japanese his second of the afternoon, which would have been a tap-in from 6 yards, Pat.
Yeah, it's unusual for Kyogo. I mean, it was a ricochet, so he wasn't expecting it. But he so often gets those ricochets and redirects them on target. So a slight surprise that Kyogo didn't score that one.
Well, the Japanese, who scored 27 league goals last season, has one to his name on opening day. You could argue it should have been 2 there, but Celtic do kick the ball out of play because James Brown, who potentially making that last-ditch tackle, has injured himself.
And they're running out of players at the moment. He's made 4 substitutions so far.
Yeah. So he's only got...
I mean, I wonder if that one's, the way he's rubbing it through, that looks like a knock as opposed to a twist. If it's a twist, you worry about it. If it's a knock or someone stood in his foot, probably be okay with the magic. aerosol.
And maybe with the scoreline of 12 minutes plus added time remaining, just trying to take whatever sting out of Celtic, because no one wants to get embarrassed, because again, there's plenty of positives that Ross County will take away from this game.
There are, certainly so far. They don't want to take away from this game a whole bunch of players injured. That's what they don't want to take out of it. But yeah, I think if they play Ross County the way they've played today every single game this season, they're going to be fine. They'll be more than fine. But can they do that? Can they lift themselves for every single game? Will they be able to keep every player that's on there? Will, when they get one or two suspensions or one or two injuries, they'll be able to replace those players from the reserve banks? We shall see.
Well, James Forrest is currently stripped off and ready to go. And it is Kyogo who will leave the field with an assist and a goal to his name. Those who can here at Parkhead on their feet to applaud what Pat Nevin views as the best player in the Scottish Premiership. And in his 14th season in Celtic colours, James Forrest gets his first minutes of the season. And as well, it is Yang who comes on. So it is a Scottish Premiership debut for the South Koreans, signed on a 5-year deal. And it is Abada who makes way.
It's always exciting for any club. If you've got a new player, what's he going to be like? Is he going to be a surprise? And Celtic, over the last year or so, they have had so many surprise players that have come in and been absolutely astonishing almost from the word go. Their hit rate of getting players in, particularly from the Far East, has been astonishing. We'll see how Wang does.
Early touch here for the aforementioned South Korean, heading into the 18-yard box, slightly detracted, but the cross is sent in by Ralston. But Yang works hard to win the ball back, and that's always one way of endearing yourself to any set of supporters. Just show your work rate, Pat.
Yeah, he's not scared to go on the ball, is he? He's been on about a minute, and he's got on the ball 3 times already, and he wants to take players on right from the start. I think he looks like a player that Celtic fans may enjoy watching.
Signed from Gangwon, was the K-League Player of the Year in 2022. So, Ange Postecoglou's not here, but we would assume that Brendan Rodgers did have the sign-off on that one, as Celtic continue to make great use of that Asian market. They do have a new Australian striker even, Tommy Lowe, but he unfortunately arrived injured, so we'll have to wait to see him. But Yang is offering plenty already, as Dander working hard for Ross County back towards the corner flag, sees an attempted clearance deflected, and who's got the ball again? It's Wang. Chips it into O'Reilly. Wang continues his movement but couldn't receive the return pass. And it's a bit of a thankless task up top for Alex Samuel, surrounded by green shirts. The blue man for Ross County can't make it stick, and the champions have the ball with 9 minutes of normal time remaining. 4-1 is the scoreline. Starfelt for Celtic. Carter Vickers approaches the halfway line.
It's quite early on, and we're quite early on. He's been on a minute. I want Yang to get the ball again. I really do. Well, let's see what you've got, and he seems quite fearless. He wants to go on the ball. He wants to take players on. It'll take a little while for most players to settle into a group and a team and a style and a new country. But he's a player who actually doesn't seem to have any fear and looks very comfortable each time the ball comes to him.
Ross County are preparing to make their 5th and final change of the afternoon. It's going to be one of their own, 17-year-old Dylan Smith. He's about to come on. He was actually sent off, Dylan Smith, in that dramatic relegation playoff at the back end of last season. But he is on. And it's Celtic 4, Ross County 1. White, the goal scorer, being replaced for Ross County.
Yeah, it's not exactly a positive move, I would say, at this point in time. Another centre back come on for a centre forward, but it allows them to change the style and system a little bit, and it certainly looks to me as if they're getting Jan Danda a little bit further up the field, and you bring on a centre back, but one thing is very noticeable about Ross County, they've got a number of players who are adaptable, who can play defence or midfield or wide or 10 or striker or slightly wider than that, and that's what Malcolm McKay will do, shuffle his pack.
Laidlaw puts his foot through it, plenty of distance, ends up 3/4 the length of the field as we look away to myself and Pat Nevin's far right in the Lisbon Lions stands, and actually
don't worry, it's going to go around the whole way. They're doing a huddle.
The Poznan is...
It's known as a huddle up here.
The huddle. Thank you for pointing me out in the correct way of describing that. It's great scenes here at Parkhead.
Yeah, everyone does it. You're not allowed not to do it.
We can't see.
Don't worry. This is strange. The group in front of us stand right in front of us. We can't see, but every one of the group in front of us came up to me as the game was going on, before the game started, and said, "We're missing Roddy." It's not the same with Roddy.
Yeah.
Because they always had their chat with Roddy, and they've been doing it for many years. And that applause is for O'Reilly, not Roddy, but both deserve it.
Yeah, equally deserving. O'Reilly, his last contribution was to score that 4th goal, and it's another debut. Odin Holm, Norwegian, 20 years of age. He actually changed his name in 2017 to Odin Tiago Holm in tribute to the Liverpool midfielder. Of course, he wasn't a Liverpool midfielder in 2017, but another one for the fans to get excited about. Youngster, no doubt keen to impress, as Celtic again tried a little dink over the top, but Laidlaw is alert to the edge of his box to prevent an attempt on his goal.
And that again, the excitement that Celtic fans have got just now. They've had a team that just won the treble. They've brought in a whole raft of new players on top of that as well, and they're actually getting used to the high strike rate of players that come in and do incredibly well for them. You shall see what this new group does. Certainly impressed by Yang so far. We'll see what Home can do.
It's a great situation to come on. 4-1, full house here at Celtic. 60,000, not you said an official attendance, but I'd be very surprised if it's not at that number. And they are having, well, it's not quite the perfect start. 4-1, they could always ask for more, in terms of opening day, but it's comprehensive. Some would say it was inevitable, but Ross County have more than played their part in what has been a really strong start to the Scottish Premiership. Less than 5 minutes of normal time remaining. Celtic 4, Ross County 1.
Yeah, but the second half has, apart from, I would say, about a 10-minute period, maybe 5 to 10-minute period, it has been fairly dominant for Celtic.
Atate tried to slip in. Maeda just to cut across you there, Pat. That's how quickly Celtic are getting in behind.
Then you understand it. You watch Hatate playing the centre forward now. Back at the World Cup, Japan took Hatate as a centre forward and didn't take Kyogo, which staggered Celtic fans. They could not believe that. And then watching how Japan played, I think they might have made a mistake.
Gander for Ross County, edge of the box on his weaker left foot. He just didn't look completely comfortable to try and get the shot off. And that's a lovely little play there. The South Koreans away, Celtic are away. Maeda on the right hand side of the penalty area. He's got Forrest in the box to aim for. What a goal that would be! James Forrest denied by an excellent save from Ross Laidlaw. Devastating counter once again from Celtic, and a man in his 14th season in Celtic colours, winner of 22 trophies, almost getting the goal his career richly deserves. What a move once again from Celtic, Pat Nevin.
Well, what a moment would have been if Forrest have got it. Obviously, he had his testimonial during the week there. These fans would love it. I mean, as you say, he's won just so many things with Celtic, but the entire build-up there, any team, you watch any team with that build-up and you're purring over it, and the reaction of the Celtic fans here was, oh, we like that. We want to see a lot more of that. But right at the base of it again, who set it off? It was Yang, wasn't it?
Yang winning the ball back.
He looks good. And his first pass and his movement past the player, and that was That was really exciting. So they've lost Jota. I just wonder if they've got someone just as good for a fraction of the cost.
It's fair to say James Forrest in his twilight of his Celtic career, just the 5 league starts under Ange Postecoglou last season. He's not going to be guaranteed that many minutes, but he's a firm fan favourite, and I'm pretty sure that would have taken, if there was a roof on this stadium, completely off. If the man who has won 11 Scottish Premierships, 6 Scottish Cups, 6 Scottish FA Cups, and 5 Scottish League Cups would have added to the scoring.
Yeah, really happy with Brendan Rodgers. Be so happy with him. He's not getting carried away down there. He's quite calm most of the game, isn't he? His team are well ahead just now. They're playing some really good football. It's getting better and better as the game goes on, and he will know himself. You're adding new players to it, asking a few different questions style-wise. So I think he'll think this is a really nice start, and if you win 4-1 first game and there's lots of improvement to come, you can't be dissatisfied.
89th minute, that's the voice of Pat Nevin alongside me, Tom Gale. 5 Live, BBC Sounds, opening day of the Scottish Premiership, and the champions are continuing where they left off. New manager Brendan Rodgers returns, no more Ange ball, but lots of traits still remain the same, lots of personnel still remain the same, but as you would expect, these fans very demanding, high standards, as Maeda almost wins the ball back from the Ross County defenders. Laidlaw takes a touch, he's smothered the Japanese, he's got 2 hands around him. The Japanese is in the fetal position with the ball underneath his groin, and I don't know, you could have easily seen a penalty awarded there for me, Pat Nevin.
If he could have just gone it out of his legs there, I think he would have scored a goal, and it was a bit of a mistake there by Laidlaw, which would have been harsh on him. He's not really done anything else wrong at all in the game so far, Laidlaw, so I'm kind of happy for him that he's got away with it. But so many things to be taken out of this game just now. We were talking earlier on, obviously Kyogo's got his goal. That's very, very important. As I say, David Turnbull, I'll just hear in the background that he's been given rightly the man of the match, and that's a massive take for Celtic, for a player they rarely used last season. Well, certainly you rarely used from the start. But honestly, I'm watching this just now, and again, it's very early, and every single thing that Yang's done is telling me he is a really, really good player. This guy is easily good enough to be one of Celtic stars going forward, and that's with only 20 minutes play. He's quality.
Well, strength and depth is what all top sides will demand. Celtic will be wanting to play an awful lot of football, both domestically and in Europe this season, and it does look as though the South Korean could be a crucial contributor for Brendan Rodgers, whether it's from a starting berth or off the bench. There will be a minimum of 5 added minutes here before Celtic return back to the top of the Scottish Premiership season. It's the early kick-off in the Scottish top flight. Fixtures to come later on. 3 p.m. Dundee against Motherwell, Livingston, Aberdeen, St Johnstone, Hearts, and the late kick-off at 5:15 Kilmarnock against Rangers. 5 Live will keep you posted with all the goals as they go in. Mark Chapman and the team of reporters from 3 p.m. in Scotland and in the English Football League. And Aaron Paul and Joby McAnuff taking your calls in 6:06.
We're looking up there. I'll admit to Googling for a second there to see how much Yang cost. So they get 25 million for Kyogo, wasn't Kyogo.
Yang?
No, for
Jota.
Sorry, for Jota, and they've got this guy for 2.1 million.
Yeah.
Now, 10% of the cost, less than 10% of the cost. And now Jota was really good. I mean, and in the big games, he was big in the big games.
He did show up.
If it turns out to be as good, it just shows you, how good Celtic are doing just now in those transfer markets.
And it's Ross County's turn to try and transition quickly. Brown, the defender with the ball, immediately the obvious pass is to Danda, but he's dispossessed by Forrest. Can Celtic add at least one more to what has been an impressive opening day? Holmes dragged down there by Turner, and he picks up another Ross County yellow card.
Nice little move by Holmes there, just breezed by. as if the player wasn't there, got dragged back, and that's I think we'll say that's the most obvious yellow card of the day so far, and possibly the season.
Summer signing Kyle Turner picks up his first yellow in the all blue of Ross County. We've played 2 minutes of the minimum 5 to be added on here. Celtic 4, Ross County 1. Don't forget to head to the BBC Sport website and app for the latest from the Women's World Cup. Last 16 results earlier on today. Spain 5, Switzerland 1 and Japan 3, Norway 1. Highlights of both those games, BBC 3, 9 p.m. And our World Cup coverage continues on Monday morning. The Lionesses in their last 16 match against Nigeria. 8:30 kickoff, build up on 5 Live from 8 a.m.
Somewhat slightly surprisingly here, there's a huge amount of empty seats now. I mean, the game is well won, you know, maybe they want to make the best of the rest of the Saturday afternoon. I thought a few more would have stayed on to enjoy these last few minutes and celebrate with the players for Celtic fans, but I'd say about 30 to 40% have left already.
As Ross County again make inroads into Celtic's 18-yard box, but Joe Hart again alert to roll the ball out wide right, and Celtic are not done yet. They're still probing, still asking questions, still looking to add to this 4-1 scoreline. Carter Vickers goes over the top towards Yang. Defender steps up and does well. Finds Stevens, who runs into the brick wall that is the American Cameron Carter-Vickers. 40 yards from goal. Free kick, Ross County.
And he held the ball up well, and I think it was Samuel there holds the ball well, but he's not really got involved in the game enough. But you don't know if that's his fault or the fact that his team really haven't had enough possession for him to have an influence.
So we are into the 5th minute of added time. As Pat's pointed out, a number of home supporters have decided they've seen enough. Of course, it's a busy weekend in Glasgow. The World Cycling Championships currently taking place. It's the road race this weekend, so the streets of Glasgow are going to be busy as James Brown on his left foot sees his strike, deflects and go in. I'm pretty sure the Irishman will claim that because it was on target, but it took an awful big deflection off Starfelt. And the last notable contribution to this game comes from the visitors. Celtic 5, Ross County 2. For the first time in their history, Ross County scored 2 goals at Celtic Park in the league.
You know, just for the effort they've put in, just for the willingness to go and throw players forward, and you say, well done then. Keep on going to the absolute death. They ain't going to win this. As I said just now, they're possibly checking for offside, but then they always do. Brown's looking as if to say, oh come on, don't do that to me. I've just scored at Celtic Park there. But 6 goals, first game of the season, not a bad start.
Wow, exactly. We appreciate you being with us here on 5 Live and BBC Sounds. It has been eventful. Let's hope there's still more to come in those 3 p.m. kickoffs. We're hopeful of play in the men's 100 at least. John Hunt is at Glorious Goodwood. We've got Scottish and English Test rugby interest. We'll keep you updated on all the other sporting action, as well as reaction to England's netballers reaching a first ever World Cup final, and the goal does stand, so we surely have only seconds left in this. Celtic 5, Ross County 2.
I was going to mention that.
Just as the producer did say 5, I was getting a little carried away with myself. Pat Nevin had already pointed it out, so it does give me chance on the full-time whistle to clarify things. It has finished here at Celtic Park. Celtic 4, Ross County 2. The club's bid for a 54th league title gets off to a near perfect start. 2 for Turnbull, 1 for Kyogo, 1 for O'Reilly. As for the visitors, the first time they've ever scored 2 goals here at Celtic Park, White and Brown. But it does mean a 10th straight loss in the league to Celtic. At full time, Pat Nevin, Celtic 4, Ross County 2.
And an entertaining game, and it's great to see the team don't just sit back and put 9-10 players behind the ball, and knowing that they're playing against the treble winners who have added more firepower to their squad. They made a good game of it. I think Malcolm Mackay's team should be quite pleased with themselves. When they play with that way all the way through the season, they will be safe. However, the story is Celtic, they've won another game, they're scoring a whole bunch of goals as they usually do, and they've added some quality, and also they brought David Turnbull through, and he hadn't been playing much last season. If he could start as many games this season, more games this season than he did last season, that would make Celtic once again an even stronger force, which is a wee bit worrying for the rest of Scottish football.
Opening day of the Scottish Premiership, Mark. Full time, Celtic 4, Ross County 2.
Thank you very much.